Hello everybody, this is going to be a somewhat long video on how to use maps. Maps are a very useful data type. They will keep track of every value that you associate with with keys. So in this example, we're going to associate a bunch of bear locations with their names. So let's just start right off and create a map. And so this is going to be from mapping from bear names, which we'll say is a string, to their locations, which we'll also say is a string. I'm going to just quickly invoke content assist to create that map. I'm going to call this map name to location. And the first thing you might try to do is say, let's make a new map, okay, of string to string. Actually, those are optional. But I'm going to make a new map, and this isn't going to work. It cannot instantiate type map. If we tunnel into that via control or command click, you can see that map is an interface. Now, interfaces are really useful. They can tell us everything that they can define a type and say what it can do. So for example, this has a size. It can tell you if it's empty. It can tell you if it contains a key, contains a value. Get is what we use to look up the value for a key that we associated it with. And put is the way we associate some key to a value. So in this example, we're going to put Winnie the Pooh in 100 Acre Wood, for example. But it's just an interface. It defines the type, but it doesn't give an implementation of that type. One of the things we can do is we can just go here, and Eclipse has this nice feature. If you press F4, I can show you all the types that extend it. There's a bunch of different implementations of map. The one we're going to use today is what's called hash map. You can see that it implements map. If I do a quick search, I can find the get method, and you can see it has a get method. It of course has like a contains key method. It's got a put method. It's got everything that map defines, so it's a perfectly valid map. So let's make one of those. So if I say new hash map here, and I again get content assist to trigger it for me, that works now. And so if I go to print line, let's say this is our newly created map. And oh, not sys out, not sys error, sys out. And let's just underline that. We're going to do a lot of printing in this video, so let's try to make everything clear. And now I'm going to sys out the map is map name to location. And as you might imagine, when I print this out, you're going to see that the map is empty. That makes sense. We haven't put anything in it. Further, I can sort of ask, what's its size, right? Map name to location, size. I run that, it's 0, that makes sense. And if I look up, if I'm like, oh, would you please tell me where is Winnie, right? And if I look up, so I would say, let's look up via the get method, Winnie the Pooh. I'll capitalize it in both places just to be respectful. And I'm going to need to add that in as a string, concatenate those strings together. And I run it, and you can see Winnie isn't in the map, so we have no idea where he is. So let's do that. Let's say map name to location dot put. And now we're going to associate Winnie with 100 Acre Wood. Okay. And now let's just come up here. We're going to do a ton of printing, so let's just copy this down here so we can look at all the same values. This is going to be post put Winnie. Okay. And now when I run this, you can see that the map contains the key Winnie associated with the value 100 Acre Wood. The size is 1, that makes sense. And if I call, where's Winnie now, instead of it returning null before, right? Now it looks it up and it tells me that it's 100 Acre Wood. If I ask, where's Paddington at this point? Paddington at this point, it's going to return null again because we haven't associated anything with Paddington. So let's do that. So just type it again. Map name to location dot put Paddington. And Paddington starts out in Peru. So let's put him in Peru. And if I copy this again, so let's get the same printing out again. And this is going to be post put Paddington in Peru. If I look at this now, you'll see that our map has both Paddington in Peru and Winnie in 100 Acre Wood. The size is 2, that makes sense. And Winnie's still in 100 Acre Wood, and it's kept track of where Paddington is now in Peru. Next up, let's say that Paddington moves to London, 32 Windsor Gardens, but we'll just say London. And now if I look at this, we've reassociated Paddington in London. So it's a lot like, you could think of an analogy of resetting some array at some index to some value. But now when I ask, it's London, when I run this, the size is still 2. Paddington has London. It's not like there's 2 keys of Paddington in both Peru and London. This is just keeping track of one value for every key. So the size doesn't grow. Everybody's still in the same location. But Paddington now, when I ask where he is, it says London instead of Peru. Okay. Let's just do a couple more things. I'm going to just map. I'm going to add a couple more bears in here. Let's add Fozzie and put him on stage. And let's put Yogi in Jellystone. And if I look at all these guys, you can, as you might expect, let's copy all these. And if we add 2 more, you know, Fozzie, where's Fozzie? And Yogi, where's Yogi? You might imagine they're all in here now. It knows everything the size is for. Just as a quick side note, if I ask, like, where's Jellystone? That's going to return null. When you're calling get, you're only looking up the keys, not the values. Now, there is a way for you to go through and find it. We'll show you how to iterate through all the keys and their values right now. But just to be clear, this is only looking up the keys. Okay, so now let's iterate through all of the map. And just clear out what we're doing here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say make a for loop, and I'm going to use the iterating for loop, which hopefully you're all familiar with. And we're going to say for each key in the map name to locations key set. If I sys out key, you'll see that it has Yogi, Paddington, and Fozzie in it. Now I don't have to call it key. I can call it, you know, a bear name if I want. And I could have refactored that, but I'm just going to copy it down here. Okay. And let's do this. Let's just quickly label them. Name is bear name, and then I can, of course, look up the location by saying name to location, get on that bear name. And that's how you can, this is how you can sort of iterate over the entire map, so print out where everybody is, and that should be enough for you to get started in using a map.